Hello, I'm Richard Ridge for Broadway-World. Vanessa Hudgens will make her Broadway debut as Gigi in the beloved Lerner and Loewe musical, which will play a pre-Broadway engagement beginning January 16th at the Eisenhower Theater at the Kennedy Center. Joining her in the show is Victoria Clark, Howard McGillin, Dee Hoty, and Corey Cott. And we dropped by the rehearsal studio to meet the company before they headed off to D.C. What has it been like for you, Eric, reinventing Gigi and living in this world?
It's been fantastic. I mean, we've been doing it for 3 years, which has been really great to actually have that time to spend on it because it is a total reinvention, and it's not just like a new book. Like everything's been looked at, like the music, the whole way we approach the design of the show. You know, like with the costumings with Kathy Zuber. One of the things that her and I worked on was just not keeping exactly at period, but loosening it up so we can make them sexier because that the ages were a lot younger than the original one, and so it was just trying to make a Gigi that was relevant to today, that actually meant something that people could relate to and walk away with something that was a great night in a theater, but also that they were like, oh, this is a really great story. This is a great journey that this little girl goes on and becomes a woman.
What attracted you originally? I mean, you obviously knew the film.
Yeah.
Did you know the show? I mean, when you looked at this, said, I can do this. I want to unlock this. I want to make this new.
Yeah, no, I didn't know I didn't know that. I never saw the show on stage. I knew the film, and it was kind of great. I loved Lerner and Loewe. We had done Lerner and Loewe at My Fair Lady at Signature, and that was the only one I've ever done. But I just loved the material, and I loved the whole story of this woman who was out to change the world, who said, I'm not going to play by the rules of the game. And the whole sense of how she has to deal with the paparazzi and then also in her own life. And I thought, you know what, this is something that is right for the time. And it's something that I thought, this is something I want to do. This is a story I want to tell. And
It's as popular today, or it's as relevant today as it was when this book was written, Colette, right? Tell me about that.
I think the interesting thing is she actually wrote Gigi in the late 1940s and set it in the late 1890s. We've sort of pinpointed that to 1900, and I think that was a very particular world, but it's a universal story. It's about a young girl coming of age and finding love and making her own choices and making her own rules, and that's something most young women nowadays feel they are entitled to do. It's perhaps a slightly more revolutionary idea in the late 1890s or the late 1940s, but I think a lot of young women now are looking for role models, for characters in fiction or on screen who say, yes, you can do it this way. You don't have to do exactly as you're told, and there is a way of achieving authenticity and making your own choices, which can be fulfilling and empowering and fun. And I think the fact that we have Vanessa Hudgens in that role is just fantastic. When we were workshopping the script in July, we had young women trying to break into the building just to breathe the same air as Vanessa. And we had to police the elevator. We were finding kids hiding behind the sofas in the rehearsal room. She is just glorious. She has something you can't buy, you can't teach, and you can't make, and that is star quality.
What has it been like working on this and creating this world?
It's like working on a new musical for me because in the film there was very little dance, if any, and so what we did with Eric and Heidi is figure out places where we can add dance and where I can help them storytell as opposed to just leaning on the script and the score only. Now there's a third vocabulary to tell the story, and it also it also energizes the show in a completely different way.
I love how you work in so many different periods. I love that. I know that's what you should be doing, but you do. Like the world of On the Town, the world of Smash, the world of Paris.
Right.
Did this come easy for you, this show? Was it easy to unlock and make dance?
Well, the idea of the storytelling, yes. I think I did a little more research for this show than I had to for, say, On the Town. Because the time period is, it's 1900. There's certain dances that you can do. There's the waltzing. There was a ballet, but and which is something that I like to infuse into all my pieces. But so I had to do a little more research to find out what was acceptable because certain things, it's not proper for them to do. So it was a little more challenging to that extent. But I always find if I'm telling the right story, then the choreography is going to work.
What attracted you to want to produce Gigi?
Well, I've been in love with Gigi since I was 6 years old, and I always wanted to see it on stage. I was introduced by my great aunt, and I had an idea that one day I really wanted to try to do it, and about 20 years later, finally decided to make it happen, and about 30 years later, it's actually happening.
So what has it been like living in the world of Gigi? What a company you put together.
It's really been a remarkably fantastic experience. Everybody that we've worked with has been so talented and so passionate about the story that it's been amazing now to see it take on its own life that is independent of me and become her own woman and her own being.
Eric Schaefer, Josh Bergasse, Heidi Thomas, what a creative team you put together.
Thank you so much. They are really all remarkable in their own way and have brought so much to the project. Independently, Josh with his choreography, just making it into a new being, and Eric, who is so remarkable at working with the cast and having them really develop characters on their own, where you see them and think to yourself, this is the Gigi I've always known and loved, and it's wonderful.
Heidi Thomas was talking about how she would be kind of dragged in from playing outside or whatever whenever Gigi would appear on television. I had the exact same experience as a kid. It's a magical movie. You just can't help but fall in love with Gigi and the story and the time, so we have that going in, which is fantastic. You know, so many times you're kind of trudging up a hill, but this already has that. And then we've got a totally reimagined book by Heidi Thomas, and Josh Bergasse his dances are so fantastic, and Eric Schaefer directing this thing. We really have a great team. We're very lucky.
And taking on this iconic role.
It is iconic, and it's great. What I love about it is that I get to kind of be the host of the evening. I speak to the audience, welcome them, tell them the story we're going to tell them, and then I come into the story and I have a wonderful love story with Mamita, Vicky Clark, that Heidi Thomas has really reimagined and given some depth to, and it's because I think in the movie, and it's been a while since I saw the movie, I don't think that there was a lot of backstory or much interaction. You had the great songs. I mean, I remember it well, and I'm glad I'm not young anymore, which are great songs unto themselves. But to have these lovely scenes that Heidi's written around those songs that really tell us about the story of these two and how they had met 30 years ago and had a love affair, and then they parted ways, and now they've come back. It's a really very sweet story.
I love me some Belle Epoque, if you know what I mean. It's a time, of innocence still, where industrial stuff was happening, but it wasn't. It was all, wow, look at that, not, uh-oh, now what's going to happen? I'm going to lose my job. They're going to close my factory. There were manners and comportment and degrees of behavior that just are gone.
And this beautiful score.
Oh my God, the Lerner and Loewe, could you bust? It's great. I am really happy to get to sing anything in this. So they've, zhuzhed around the order of things, and so I'm very excited I get to sing with Vicky. And then I have a little, it's not unlike the makeover ballet that they did today. It's in the play, it's not obviously in the movie, where Aunt Alicia teaches her, outfits her, and all the people come, and they do the contract with Gaston's lawyer. So it's really fun. So that's sort of my number in Act 2.
Talk about living in this world of Gigi and playing this role.
Well, it is really fun to immerse yourself into a different time period. It's the Belle Epoque Paris, so everything is really on the verge of major change, and it's the industrialization. The huge exposition is going on at this time. The Eiffel Tower is a year old, so everything is really it's the beginning of the modern era. So art is sort of we're going into Impressionism and going into we're already in the Impressionistic period, but it's just art is really starting to fan out and become more individualistic, and so are these characters. Everybody grows up in the show, including my generation, right? Gigi's, her parents and her grandparents, that whole generation, yeah.
Talk about this role that you get to play.
This is a fantastic part. So I play Mamita, and she's Gigi's grandmother, and she is not ready for Gigi to grow up. And so I seem to be playing a lot of these characters, which sort of parallels with my own life with my son in college now, oddly enough. So, it's really about learning from Gigi and Gaston how to let go and how to let your children, your grandchildren in my case, how to let them be their own people. And Gigi ends up teaching everyone how to forge a new path, and that's why I wanted to do this piece, because it's really about being who you are and not falling into any old pattern that doesn't suit you.
First of all, the costumes, what I get to wear is stunning, so beautiful, and I play this character who is a bit over the top. She's a celebrity in her day, right? I play a courtesan who, in this time, they were celebrities, and she's always sort of looking to push the envelope in terms of fashion and in terms of being seen and noticed. I heard someone say, like, I am the Kim Kardashian of that time, so I'm wanting to be seen, which is so much fun, and it's just a world full of, I said this in another interview, but the sort of champagne bubbles, you really do feel it. It's fun. It's beautiful. I have to say, for this, before I started this job, I took a trip to Paris for a little research trip, so I thought,
Sure.
hard work. And it was so great to be there and just sort of, even still, it feels so much more relaxed, and about the food and about talking to people and like seeing people, seeing the fashion, and it's still infused in that culture, and it's just so fun.
I couldn't be more excited to share this with people. Every day I come home and my wife will ask, "How is it going?" And I'm like, "It's so great. I'm having such a good time. I'm so excited to come work with these people every day." The cast is incredible, full of Broadway vets and some newcomers and people who've only done a little bit. And the story is contagiously. It's gonna put a smile on everybody's face every day. But at the same point, there's this deep, heartfelt idea of many things, of many themes that I hope people will leave moved and inspired with. So yeah, it kind of has everything, and it's sad because our generation doesn't really know it that well. It's not our generation. Before I met with the team, I didn't know anything about it. I'd never seen the movie. I didn't know the music, and so to be thrown into this world of not knowing anything, that is exciting for an actor. I don't have anything to compare myself to, really. I haven't really allowed any of that, and I'm excited for our generation to be exposed to Gigi for the first time. Yeah, it's great.
But this is also like creating a brand new musical at the same time, the way they put it together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was a production in the 70s, and then there's the movie, but it's you're not going to be able to compare them, really. I mean, what Heidi Thomas, our book, what she's doing with the book and the script and the lyrics, it really isn't like any other production, even the play that you've seen. The characters are the same, but I hope people who come in who've seen the movie and maybe even seen that production in the 70s and will be blown away by how different, how new, how fresh it is. There's a very fresh quality to this version that is gonna really inspire people, I think. Yeah.
And taking on this role and singing this beautiful Lerner and Loewe score.
I know, it's amazing. Yeah, I get to sing the title song, Gigi. It's kind of the 11 o'clock number, and it is thrilling. It's thrilling, going from I've sing a lot of contemporary stuff in the past few years, and so to sing something that is. It's dated, but not in the bad sense. It's dated in the sense that these writers from this era, throughout the golden age of musical theater, I guess you could say, R&H and Berlin and all these guys, their lyrics and their music were very simple. There's a simplicity to it, but with this amazing underlying tone of furthering the story always, and allowing these characters to, in a very grand and luscious and electric manner, be able to share what they're feeling. And it's so fun singing these songs. So fun.
It must be great. Welcome to the Broadway theater community. How do you feel?
Overwhelmed. So amazing. I mean, everyone's been so welcoming and so wonderful, and I get to show up to work every day and be surrounded by people who are the absolute best at what they do. So I'm inspired, to say the least.
Doing a stage show so far, what that's been like for you?
It's been so much fun. I mean, I grew up doing stage. I did community theater when I was like 7 years old. So now I get to come back to it and on such a grand scale, but get to be a kid all over again. So, I mean, it's just awakening that in me, and I get to be the best version of myself every day.
Tell me what it's been like living in the world of Gigi and taking on this wonderful role.
It's been beautiful. I mean, I cannot wait till we are on the stage in our costumes with the sets. It's just beautiful being in the Belle Epoque era. It's just the best era. It's so beautiful and so much fun, and the character is just so alive and so fresh and so pure, and I love her so much because in this day and age, I feel like sex is what sells. Everything's over-sexualized. Young women are over-sexualized. And Gigi is the opposite of that. She stands for purity, and she stands for truth and happiness and love. And that's like where we should all be heading.
You're going to be making your Broadway debut very, very soon. What are you thinking?
I'm not. I'm just kind of taking it one step at a time because it's very overwhelming. I mean, the whole 8-show week thing, 6 days of work, and then your day off, you don't talk. It's a lot. So just one step at a time. But I'm very, very excited. I cannot wait to be up there and have a new